Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a quick color pencil tutorial for you guys. For those of you who just kind of want to know how to attack your Candy Still Life piece, or those of you who just need a refresher on things that we've learned so far here in Foundations of Art. So I'm going to actually show you the quick sketch that I did of my Candy Still Life, like you saw in the YouTube videos that I posted for you guys. I'm going to have it here in front of me. I'm going to just do a couple little things here, and then hopefully you can take it back and apply it to your work that you're doing. So I'm just going to adjust the camera so you can see what I'm working on. Okay, so hopefully you have a nice clear view of everything that I'm doing here. Now, number one, you want to make sure that you take time to erase your grid line, okay? So that's why I told you guys in the YouTube video to make sure that you draw it very, very lightly. Again, I drew mine heavy so you could see it in the tutorial, but you knew you were going to eventually erase it, so you want to make sure that you take time now to get rid of all the grid lines that you see. Okay. Now, if you're starting like me with one of the M&Ms, you need not only your color pencil sharpened and ready to go next to you, you also need to have your still life so you can reference the highlights, the shadows, and the colors. For me, I'm referencing the image that I have on my phone, mainly because Meadow keeps eating my still life. So before I get started, what I like to do is, we know that color pencil doesn't always go over top of, no, I'm recording. Color pencil doesn't always go over top of graphite. So what I like to do is I like to take my eraser and I like to erase my graphite lines just enough so I can still see them and use them for form, but light enough so that when I go to use color pencil, it's not going to affect the overall look. Now I'm working with something that's a sphere, okay, so it's round and curved, so that means my contour lines are going to be curved, so my shading also has to be curved so that it remains dimensional. I have a nice sharp tool here that I'm using, and I'm starting with my edges because in my reference image, that's where it is darkest. And again, I always use those tiny little ovals as I shade. Even though it looks like I'm going side to side, I'm really using little ovals to control my shading. Here are my highlight marks that I'm going to try to avoid. Now, we know that color pencil is a layering process, so it does take time. You should not be getting your initial attacking of the object shouldn't be your final result, meaning it takes time and you have to mix and you have to layer and you have to understand what colors are involved in your piece. And it's all about the layering and the pressure. So now I'm just going to kind of go in here and start to clean up my edges. All right, so I just have a quick kind of layering base coat on here. Luckily, I have a bunch of different blues that I'm able to work with, and I also have the complement, which we know to be orange, as well as black and white. So right now I'm looking at my image, and it's darker over here in this section, so I'm going to start to apply the complement to deepen that color, and it kind of wraps itself around, but it's a little bit thicker on the side and gets a little bit thinner towards the top. So I'm just kind of wrapping, working with pressure. I'm not pressing too hard because, again, we want the orange to create a deeper blue, not show orange completely in my shading. I'm going to add a little bit of shadowing over here with some of my orange. Okay, and now I'm going to go back in with my blue again and heavier pressure and tighter circles, and I'm just going to work this orange so that it shades the blue. So I'm almost at the point where I'm burnishing right here. I'm really working with a controlled stroke. I'm really focusing on mixing those colors together through pressure. But I'm also keeping in mind I have to transition it. Like, it's not going to just be dark to nothing. It has to transition. So I'm also keeping that in mind when I work with my pressure. And I'm also keeping in mind that this is a sphere. So I'm still working with my contour lines of curves. I'm mixing those ovals, blending that orange in so it's a shadow of blue. And then I'm lightening my pressure here. Now, when I look at my piece or my example, there is a glare. The glare isn't necessarily pure white. So what I like to do in this case is I'll take my white color pencil and over the glares, I just kind of run it back and forth. So it keeps it white, but it kind of dirties it. And then I'm actually going to use my white color pencil to burnish my piece. So I'm working with my contour lines. I'm blending everything together, keeping those shadows on the edges, softening my highlights so they look like they're a part of my form. And then I'm going to come in with my black here and really clean up my edges. So my shadowing of my blue is going to be continued with this black. Thank you, Meadow. And then I'm going to pull that into my shadow. And then for my shadow here, so I just kind of use the black to kind of enhance my M&M, pop it off the page. And then for my shadow here, I'm going to jump in with some white. I'm going to burnish that and kind of carry that dirty white and the burnishing away from the shadow to kind of transition it out. So I'm pressing pretty hard. All right, so there we have a burnished and shaded M&M using complements, blues, and white and black. And I would continue the same method throughout all my pieces. Now I have had students in the past at the end take white acrylic paint and created highlights that way by just kind of dabbing and painting directly on top of the color pencil. And if you have access to that at home, that's totally acceptable. Or they keep it just like this. Totally up to you. Now, when you go to do the wrappers, what's key there is keeping those gloss areas or those highlights exposed, not over blending, allowing it to kind of come through, and really, really focusing on your reference image and like where those shadows exist, because those shadows are what help develop the rest of your drawing. So you just really need to take time and be mindful of exactly what you're drawing. It's not a race. We're not racing through this. You guys have until April 6th to upload this. And I did that on purpose because you should understand that color penciling and proper color penciling takes time. Remember, you're always sharpening your tools, keeping those nice and sharp so that you can get clean shadows, clean blending. And, you know, a big part of this project is the cast shadows. And I love how the blue kind of crept into this cast shadow here. It just develops it even more. And, you know, you're going to do cast shadows on everything. So you just want to be aware of, you know, what you're mixing into the cast shadow, where you're placing it. And I'm a fan of, you know, using the white to kind of blend it out. And again, I keep a sharpener nearby, which I think Meadow stole. Oh, there it is. I like blending it out with that. So don't forget, when you go to attack your color pencils, you always want to erase those pencil lines first. And it really will help with creating that realistic shading without having, especially when you're using the lighter colors. Like if I go in to use a yellow or something, I want to make sure those pencil lines are definitely erased because, and I'm just looking back and forth at my piece, the reference image. Remember too, if your color pencils seem to be breaking a lot even after you sharpen them, generally that means, especially for Prismas, that they have been physically dropped on the floor and that the color pencil shaft on the inside is broken all the way up. So it'll be broken on the inside. So when it gets sharpened, sometimes it holds, sometimes it doesn't because it's actually defective on the inside, like someone was physically dropping them. And unfortunately, a lot of times there's really no saving it. But I might start to sharpen it from the opposite side to see if that helps. So I'll sharpen both ends to see, or I'll just keep it a little bit duller just to hold the integrity of the pencil. All right, and then remember with the yellow, we use the complement to that would be purple, but I'm looking at this and it's a very vibrant yellow, so I don't want to dirty it too much with purple. So luckily I have like a deeper shade of yellow, almost like an orange. So I'm just going to kind of put this darker yellow in. And then I think I'm going to grab a violet. And just kind of over here, it's really dark, so I'm going to pop in that violet. And maybe a little bit on this edge here. Right, so I kind of have the workings of all the colors that I want to use down. And then a lot of times, I'll either go back to my lighter color yellow or I'll kind of work the white to kind of push everything together. But I think with the purple sections, I'm going to really push and blend with the yellow before I add the white. And that deeper color, I'm going to blend that too. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in with the white. You know, and then this is when I start going back in and kind of tweaking everything once I get to this level.
When are they getting going?
All right, so you can see it's starting to develop, and you can see all the different colors that I've used to kind of make this feel a little bit more like a volume or mass rather than just like a flat surface. So I would say the good rule of thumb when attacking this is using at least 3 colors. Okay, so your color, your black or complement, and always white. Depending on the candy, I think burnishing looks really good. I've had kids in the past do stuff that have sugar on it, and with that, it's always good to do some sort of like pouncing texture, you know, to kind of give that illusion of sugar, depending on what you're working with. So really, it's all about studying your object, studying your reference image, looking really closely. If you have it on the camera like me, you can zoom in or hold it close to your face to kind of get all the aspects of making it as realistic as possible. And I'll be here, so you can always upload your image and I can make comments on it. Like I have a lot of students who upload their images to the assignment page or even to the stream, and I can make comments directly on it as well. And I love to see your works in progress. So that is about it for color pencil. I guess my main thing is use more than 3 colors or use at least 3 colors. Make sure your stuff is sharp. Have a sharpener nearby. Erase, erase, erase all those pencil lines before you start because we know how annoying they are to go over, especially with the lighter colors, okay? And again, contact me if you need some advice and just do the best that you can. All right, I look forward to seeing your work, guys. Just work hard, really challenge yourselves, and that way you'll be surprised with your results.